Friends, I'm gonna be honest with you. Before Nintendo's presentation today, I had this thought in my head. That sounds a lot like thoughts people have shared before in like 2018 and 2019. That thought being that maybe E3 really doesn't matter anymore. And that maybe while it's nice to have a dedicated time or week or weekend to, show off new games coming out soon, that maybe companies would just be better off doing it on their own time. Because, all the presentations beforehand were all really barren. There wasn't much to be shown. Capcom had nothing to show. Square Enix had hardly anything to show, aside from a Guardians of the Galaxy game. Ubisoft had, nothing at all to show that I can recall. Namco Bandai is only showing off one game, as far as I can tell. Sony stopped doing press conferences for years now. And the best one up to that point was Microsoft, and they hardly had anything either. Arcane Studios under Bethesda, now under Microsoft, is doing a new IP. A first-person, open-world shooter. Cool. How original. But Nintendo's presentation was stellar. I went in with no expectations. I expected to see a couple games, one or two, for, this year. I expected a lot of EA games to have bought slots. I expected a lot of drawn-out sequences explaining the mechanics of RPGs. Basically, I expected the majority of what Nintendo Directs have been for the last year now. But me, oh my, I was mistaken. This was no ordinary Direct. Even though there wasn't an F-Zero, or an ARMS, or a custom Robo, or a non-Mario 3D platformer, or Pikmin 4, even though there was nothing like that catered specifically to me to make this a selfish choice, personal favorite Direct, there was still so much. I'll start by going over what Nintendo brought. There were a couple third-party announcements that actually really piqued my interest too, but we'll talk about those after. The first thing they showed off was Kazuya from Tekken in Smash Bros. I think it's fair to say nobody saw this coming. We got the Heihachi Mii costume included with Min Min's Fighter Pass, so I think a lot of us assumed that Tekken just wasn't getting anything else, but lo and behold, Kazuya's in the game. This was a great choice, honestly, and Smash Bros., sort of being against its will, kind of, the granddaddy of fighting games and the biggest crossover, I think, in gaming history, just period. For a game that already had the likes of Ryu from Street Fighter, and Terry from Fatal Fury and King of Fighters, and Min Min from ARMS, I know it's not one of the big boys in terms of fighting games, but it is in my heart, damn it. So yeah, having a Tekken character now joining those ranks is really cool, and the trailer was really fun too. It wasn't like, oh, who's gonna get the invitation? Ooh boy, these fighters are rough, I'd better use my special moves. No fake out, no overdone voiceover, just a cool scenario. And it made for some pretty good memes too. The sight of Captain Falcon's limp corpse being thrown into a volcano is, it hits home. But the next Nintendo project announced, if I remember correctly, was a big one. One that alone made this the best presence at E3. And that was Metroid Dread. That's right, it's not a port of Samus Returns, it's not a remake of Super or Fusion, it is Metroid 5. A game that has been in development, that has existed as a concept for 15 years. One that was teased in previous Metroid games. It's finally coming to fruition. It's happening. Nintendo even released a video on their YouTube channel of Sakamoto explaining how important it is. The game looks beautiful. It looks like so much freaking fun. And that new enemy, the Emmy, oh my gosh, it's brilliant. It's got the same vibes as the SAX in the sense that it's stalking you throughout, most of, if not the entire game. But while the SAX was scary, don't get me wrong, it was just sort of another Samus sprite. Without the context, if you're just looking at the gameplay itself, it's like, oh no, the evil Samus is coming to get you. I love the SAX, don't get me wrong, but the Emmy, it moves around creepy. It's menacing. It's so cool. I want it in Smash Brothers. Let that be the final Smash Brothers character. Metroid Dread, absolutely mind-blowing. So happy it's coming, and this year! It's coming out this October. Everybody, you better go pick this up in October. I think this has the potential to be the best-selling Metroid game to date. Not even kidding. Maybe not as much as Super, but who knows? Maybe, It's about time Metroid got its due. I've complained in the past about Metroid fans being obnoxious and, saying, woe is me in the face of, something like F-Zero, which just objectively has it way worse than Metroid does as a series. But this trailer and the way this game looks, it speaks to the massive potential within this franchise, and I'm so glad it's finally getting a chance. Looking forward to playing it this October. Gosh, that's still so surreal to say. Now, if memory serves, the next Nintendo announcement was that Cruisin' Blast, the 2017 arcade game and follow-up to Cruisin' USA, is coming to the Switch, exclusively, obviously, because it's a Nintendo-owned IP. At least partially. I think Midway also owns a little bit of it, but then again, I think Midway is defunct, so maybe Nintendo completely... I don't even know. Either way, it's just nice to see a non-Mario Kart Nintendo-published, racing game on the Switch. And I'm curious to see how well it performs. I wonder if the audience for an arcade racer just in general on the Switch is there, regardless of name power. I feel like an F-Zero could easily outperform Cruisin', so let's see how well Cruisin' performs, right? Now, this announcement actually came before the last one, I think, but who cares, I'm talking about it now. Mario Party Superstars. Something that I actually predicted, like completely, the entire concept predicted in my video 10 3DS games that deserve ports to the Switch. I said it would be a good idea to take Mario Party the Top 100 and give it actual boards from the old games, as well as all those old minigames, and make all the modes online. And lo and behold, that's exactly what they're doing! Super Mario Party is one of the Switch's best-selling games, just period. It has surpassed 10 million. That's crazy. The fact that a Mario Party as bare bones as Super Mario Party could sell that well, I get the feeling that this one right here, that's also nostalgia-baiting Mario Party fans, as well as just being another Mario Party, this is gonna be a big seller. No kidding. And I, for one, who am not really into Mario Party, I've enjoyed playing 2 and 3 and 8 at friends' houses occasionally, never owned one, never bought a Mario Party for myself. Finally, some good news for Mario Party fans. They've been dwindling in a limbo of mediocrity for too long. Happy to see them get their day. But another party-based game was also revealed, WarioWare Get It Together. I love that name! Everybody sort of, in terms of naming a new WarioWare, a lot of people speculated it would be Switch It Up, or Get Switched. They'd include the Switch in there somewhere. I, for one, thought it would be a funny idea to make it, incorporate Joy-Con, because Wario is a con artist and parties bring joy, and the controllers are called Joy-Cons. But no, Get It Together, because you play together, you get it it's brilliant. This looks like a lot of fun. And and the characters themselves, instead of just being the category of microgame that is played, they are characters that you play as, and they have different abilities with how they interact with these specially made microgames. And it's $49.99, this game. That's, it's $10 less than your typical AAA Nintendo game. So yeah, that might be a fun one to pick up. And I love playing games in short bursts, and Wario is perfect for that. I love the attitude of Wario, I love the wacky world, and if it's online, then maybe I'll get to play with some friends and we'll stream it sometime or something, who knows? But more than likely, with so many games coming out this year, I might have to put this one off, come to think of it. My poor wallet. My poor wallet. Now, while it's pretty safe to bet that there will be more ports and remakes at any given Nintendo conference, or any conference just in general, rare is it to see a remake of not one but 2 games that haven't had a new entry in over 10 years. And with Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, so clever, we're getting that. And I've made my stance on remakes and remasters clear. A lot of the time I say, why bother? Just do ports. Most of the time remakes can't really improve the original game as much as they do just make it slightly different and sometimes alienate fans. But in this case, a remake might as well make it a new game. Same thing with the Famicom Detective Club remakes that came out. The difference between that and this, I assume, a fully voice-acted game, where there are brief animations where still images once were, and fully animated 3D models where plain sprites that hopped up and down on the y-axis once were. This is big. This is huge. And it's being priced at $60, which might hurt it, but hey, it's 2 games, fully remade. It's I think it's gonna be worth the price. And the fact that it's $60 makes me think that it'll get a physical release too, so that's nice. Maybe there's a bigger audience for this than I think, and maybe more than Nintendo thinks, and maybe this will incentivize them to revisit some of their other neglected IPs. Again, I may sound foolish or a bit naive, but stuff like this makes me more hopeful for the return to F-Zero or Custom Robo. Or even more obscure stuff that I don't really want back that much, but other people definitely do, like Golden Sun or Kuru Kururin. The potential exists, and the Switch is tapping into it. I was so ready to throw the towel in and think Nintendo was just gonna cruise by, with more sequels to their main 4 or 5 IPs and nothing else, but no, here we are, a brand new AAA $60 Advance Wars release. Gosh, what a timeline. They also showed off some DLC for Age of Calamity, the Hyrule Warriors game. I, have nothing to say about that really. Didn't play it, don't care to play it, moving on. They also revealed a 35th anniversary Zelda Game & Watch, which, again, sort of, it's funny, actually. I should talk about this. With Mario's 35th anniversary last year, he got a trilogy of remakes on the Switch, and a Game & Watch with 1 game on it. Now, Zelda is getting 1 remake on the Switch with Skyward Sword, and a Game & Watch with 3 games on it. They even said in the presentation that they don't have any other plans for more Switch releases for Zelda. So, no Ocarina of Time or Majora or Wind Waker or Twilight Princess HD releases. We're getting Skyward Sword, we're getting a limited edition poster at GameStop, we're getting a Game & Watch with Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and Link to the Past on it, and we're getting Age of Calamity DLC. And that appears to be the extent of it. I'm sure plenty of Zelda fans are pretty butthurt about this, but it's whatever. We're always gonna get Zelda games. So they don't have a bunch to release all at once. Big whoop, they'd probably end up cannibalizing each other anyway. Not everybody buys every Nintendo release ever made, you guys. And they closed the show with a new look at The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. They still haven't revealed the name. They still haven't given us an exact release date. It's coming out in 2022, it's what they say, which, seems obvious. But we did get to take a look at actual gameplay, and it looks like a brilliant continuation of what Breath of the Wild set up. An ability to phase through walls, some islands in the sky. This looks like it's going to be pretty darn fun, especially for people who liked the first Breath of the Wild. And with just those 2 new things we know are coming, that opens up so many possibilities for new traversal options, new things to discover. It's gonna be a darn good time. But before I stop talking about this presentation and end this video, I've got to talk about some very notable third-party games they showed off. Team 17 is doing a new Worms game, with a twist. It's a real-time arena shooter. That's, if you just told me that without showing me gameplay, I'd say, oh, that sounds so fun. And seeing the gameplay, I'm like, oh, this looks so fun. And what's more, they revealed Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, remasters of the classic Monkey Ball games. One of the best Sega franchises, getting its due. None of this remastering Banana Blitz shenanigans. No more mobile games, no more Strand Monkey Ball adventure experiments. Just good old classic Monkey Ball. Sure, I'd prefer a new one to a remake, and I'd actually kind of prefer this compilation include the original games, just the way they were on the GameCube. But this is better than nothing. Can't wait for it to come out, and as long as the physics and the map layouts and stuff are all relatively the same as they were on the GameCube, then I'm sure it won't be a Crash Insane trilogy scenario where it's just a little bit kinda worse for wear. And that just about covers it for me, I think. There were lots more third-party announcements, like Shin Megami Tensei 5, and ooh, wait a minute, I forgot about one other Nintendo thing. Maiden of the Blackwater. Fatal Frame 5, 6, the latest Fatal Frame game. It's getting ported to the Switch. That's one less exclusive the Wii U has to its name. Glad to see this coming over, and you know what? It didn't get a physical release here in the States on the Wii U, so maybe this time around it'll get a physical release on the Switch. And maybe if it performs well, maybe more of the Fatal Frame games will come onto modern platforms, and maybe new ones will get in development sooner than later, who knows? So yes, overall this presentation was great. What are some things Nintendo didn't show though? This doesn't knock any points against them. I stand steadfast in my belief that you should judge things based on what they have and not what they don't have, but what didn't this Direct have? It didn't have a new Kirby game. Obviously we'll get one sooner than later, but the thing is, KeyHow staff members have been saying that it's going to be the next phase for Kirby, so that implies big ambitions. I think it's probably safe to assume we'll see that next year. We didn't see a new Donkey Kong, despite rumors and despite fans being primed for it. Again, I feel like that's another safe bet for next year or within the next 2 years because Donkey Kong is one of Nintendo's most treasured and recognizable characters. He has tons of merchandise, he's getting a segment of the Nintendo theme park. Donkey Kong has a presence every year, somewhere, all the time. He'll get his new game sooner than later. We didn't see Mario Kart, and we didn't see ARMS, so that means it is still a complete mystery what the heck Nintendo EPD9 has been working on. The fact that it's been this long kind of worries me, because that implies to me that it's going to be something very, very ambitious. And while I'd love for all that ambition to be poured into an ARMS sequel that really blows the lid off this entire franchise and captures everyone's attention and becomes a great big seller and a mainstay Nintendo series, the more logical side of my brain says, this new Mario Kart's gonna look sick. You know, they're probably pouring as much of their time and resources as they can into making the next Mario Kart, and it'll probably release before the Switch's life is over. And if it doesn't, it'll probably launch on Nintendo's next console, and no matter what way you slice it, I think ARMS is gonna end up having a decade-long gap between releases at least. But that's just the cynic in me speaking. We don't have to get down on it. It doesn't ruin E3 or anything. In fact, the mystery's still alive. Oh, the mystery eats me up inside. But, you know, we don't know for sure. We still don't know, so why bother worrying about things we don't know? They also didn't show anything about the new Pokemon games or Splatoon 3, which is actually kind of a relief on my part, because they're games we already know are coming. You know, we can always get more information about them later. You know, in a fall Nintendo Direct, or, you know, a Q1 2022 Nintendo Direct. Or I guess technically the Pokemon games are coming out before then, but you know, Pokemon does its own thing anyway. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if a Pokemon Presents comes out like next week or something, who knows. So yeah, seeing as how, gosh, I have been recording here for 26 minutes, 47 seconds according to my thing here. Obviously I'm trimming the video down for you guys, but I am pooped, I am parched, I am perfectly happy with this Nintendo Direct. I'm looking forward to more Nintendo announcements in the future. I'm looking forward to Metroid Dread coming out this October. I am overall in a very good mood today, and this presentation was sorely needed after a very lacking E3. But that's just one sock's opinion. What do you all think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? E3 in general? Just the Nintendo Direct? Was it the best one? I mean, obviously it was the best one, right? Even if you're not a Nintendo fan, this was the best one. I digress. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed it, comment down below, share this video or my channel, you know, all that stuff that helps me out with the algorithm. You know, this is a fun hobby, but I've got to eat too. And I can't eat the Patreon money that's going back into the channel. Oh, speaking of patrons, thank you so much for putting this money into the channel. You all are the ones who make it happen, you lovely folks who you see on screen. If you'd like to get on screen up there with them and receive behind-the-scenes updates on what I'm working on, you can pledge to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. That's patreon.com/atalkingsock. That's all from me. I will see you the next time I see you.